If you want to reverse your blood pressure from this to this, you have to watch this episode. Many seniors believe high blood pressure can only be managed with pills, but for nearly 7 in 10 seniors, the real driver is far more immediate, because research from the National Institutes of Health shows that chronic stress and poor breathing keep the nervous system on high alert, quietly pushing blood pressure higher day after day. So in this episode, we are going to show how just a few minutes of the right kind of breathing will bring calm, clarity, and control back to your body. Welcome back to the Senior Health Podcast. In today's episode, Japan's oldest doctor is sharing 3 simple, science-backed breathing techniques that will help lower high blood pressure by calming the nervous system. In fact, he's sitting across from me right now. Doctor, what can our listeners expect from this conversation?
John, our listeners will learn why high blood pressure is often a nervous system problem before it is a heart problem. We'll walk through 3 specific breathing techniques seniors can use in real moments of stress to bring their blood pressure down safely and naturally. And most importantly, they'll understand when to use each one and why it works.
That's powerful, and it feels incredibly reassuring for seniors who've been searching for answers. Because so many listeners have been doing everything they were told, yet their numbers still feel unpredictable and discouraging.
And here is the hidden risk. Many seniors breathe shallowly all day without realizing it, especially when they feel rushed, worried, or tense. This keeps the nervous system locked in a stress response, and over time, blood pressure quietly rises. It is so common and misunderstood and often blamed on aging when it does not have to be. So after this conversation, seniors who stayed till the end will have a clear roadmap on not only what to do, but also why it works. And please leave a comment if this topic is important to you. Just commenting 1 is enough.
I want to share why this matters so much to me. Not long ago, I had a patient in her late 70s who dreaded checking her blood pressure because it always spiked the moment the cuff tightened. She felt like her body was betraying her. When we focused on her breathing first, everything changed.
That story is very familiar. The body is not resisting seniors. It is asking to be guided.
So let's begin there. Doctor, why does breathing have such a powerful effect on blood pressure in seniors, especially after 60?
Well, blood pressure is not just a number produced by the heart. It is a reflection of how safe or threatened the body feels from moment to moment, and breathing is the fastest way that message is sent. After 60, the nervous system becomes more sensitive. So shallow or rushed breathing has a stronger impact than it once did.
That really resonates with what I see in my patients. Many seniors tell me they feel calm on the outside, but their bodies still seem tense and reactive underneath.
Yes, and I hear that a lot in seniors. Over time, the body forgets how to fully relax because it has learned to stay alert for too long. When breathing becomes shallow, the brain keeps signaling caution, blood vessels stay slightly tightened, and pressure rises without anyone noticing the cause.
So even when seniors believe they are resting, their nervous system may still be working overtime.
Exactly. And this is why medication alone does not always solve the problem. If the breath keeps telling the brain that danger is nearby, the body resists calm no matter what else is done. Breathing is not a supplement to healing, it is the doorway.
That reframes blood pressure in a way many seniors have never heard before.
The key here is that breathing gives seniors back a sense of control. When the breath slows and deepens, the nervous system softens and blood vessels respond almost immediately. But not all breathing works the same, and some patterns are far more powerful than others.
That distinction feels important, especially for seniors who have tried deep breathing without much success.
Yes, and this leads us forward. There is one breathing pattern I often teach first because it works quickly, even during stress, even when the mind feels busy. It takes less than a minute, and most seniors feel the shift before the finish. Once you feel that change, everything else becomes easier to understand.
That makes me lean in. What is that first breathing pattern, and when should seniors use it to feel that shift most clearly?
Let's begin with the one I often teach first because it meets seniors right where they are. It is called the physiologic sigh, and it is especially helpful in moments when the body feels tense or the mind feels rushed. This pattern uses 2 gentle inhales through the nose, followed by a long, slow exhale through the mouth. Seniors tend to feel a shift quickly because it helps the lungs fully open and then releases built-up tension in a single cycle.
I can already imagine seniors listening and thinking this sounds almost too simple, and yet those are often the moments when the simplest things turn out to be the most powerful.
Yes, and that reaction is very common. Many seniors expect effort to equal results, but the body often responds better to permission than force. This breathing pattern mirrors what the body naturally does after a cry or a deep emotional release, which is why it feels calming instead of mechanical. It tells the nervous system that it is safe to let go.
That makes sense, especially for seniors who feel their stress shows up suddenly and without warning.
The best time to use this breath is when pressure feels like it is climbing, such as before checking blood pressure, during a stressful moment, or when the chest feels tight. Most seniors notice their shoulders soften and their heartbeat slow before they even think about numbers. That immediate feedback builds trust with the body.
That feeling of trust seems just as important as the technique itself.
And there is something that many seniors find surprising. This breath works fast not because it is deep, but because of what it does inside the lungs and nervous system. Once you understand that, the calm feels less mysterious and more reliable.
I would really like to understand that better. What exactly is happening inside the body that makes this breath work so quickly, especially after 60?
After 60, the body becomes more sensitive to signals of imbalance, both calming and stressful. Breathing is one of the fastest ways to shift those signals, which is why the effect can feel almost immediate. Think of the lungs as quiet rooms. With age, some stop opening fully. Stale air lingers. The body senses tension. The physiologic sigh gently opens those spaces, clears excess carbon dioxide, and quickly tells the brain it is safe, allowing blood vessels to soften within moments.
That image is powerful because it feels so physical and so human.
Yes, and this is where timing matters. The long exhale is what truly sends the calming signal because it stimulates the vagus nerve, which acts like a brake on the stress response. Seniors often lose that strong braking signal with age, not because it is broken, but because it is rarely used. This breath reminds the body how to press it again.
So the body is not learning something new, it is remembering something old. That reminds me of seniors who tell me they feel relief even before the breath is finished. It feels less like control and more like surrender, in a good way.
Exactly, and that feeling is important. When carbon dioxide levels normalize and the vagus nerve activates, heart rate slows, and arteries relax almost automatically. Blood pressure follows because it is responding to a calmer internal environment, not a command. That is why this works quickly, especially in seniors whose systems are more reactive than they once were.
That helps explain why some seniors see changes on the cuff within minutes. It also explains why panic often makes the numbers worse.
Yes, and I hear that fear often. Seniors worry that fast relief must be artificial or unsafe, but this response is deeply natural. It is the same reflex the body uses to recover after a shock or a scare. When breathing restores that rhythm, the body stops bracing itself.
That sense of not having to brace anymore feels like a gift. I can imagine seniors listening and realizing they have been holding themselves tight for years.
And before we go further, there's something important I want seniors to hold on to. This breath calms the system quickly, but it is only one way of teaching the body steadiness. There is another pattern that works more slowly, but builds control and balance over time. That difference matters.
That distinction really catches my attention. What is the next breathing technique we're discussing, and how does it help the body build steadiness instead of just quick relief?
The second breathing technique focuses on slower breathing. When seniors are no longer in immediate distress, box breathing helps retrain the nervous system to stay balanced instead of bouncing between tension and relief. It creates a steady rhythm that the heart and lungs begin to follow together. Over time, that rhythm becomes familiar, almost comforting, and the body starts to trust it.
That feels different from quick relief. It sounds more like building stability than escaping stress.
Yes, and that distinction matters. Box breathing uses equal lengths of inhale, hold, exhale, and pause, which gently teaches the nervous system patience and control. Seniors often tell me they feel more grounded, not just calmer, because the breath is predictable. That predictability lowers the background noise of stress that keeps blood pressure elevated.
It sounds like this breath helps seniors feel steady even when nothing else changes.
Exactly. This pattern is especially helpful when seniors feel overwhelmed before sleep or during moments when emotions feel unsteady rather than urgent. It does not rush the body into calm. It invites the body to settle into it.
And that invitation feels kinder than forcing relaxation.
Yes, and when seniors practice this regularly, the body begins to recognize calm as a normal state, not a temporary break. That changes everything.
That idea really stays with me. How does this steady rhythm actually change what the heart and lungs are doing together over time?
Because breathing and the heart are already in constant conversation. So start noticing how the heart naturally responds to the breath. When we inhale, the heart rate gently rises, and when we exhale, it slows again. Box breathing amplifies this natural rhythm in a calm, orderly way, teaching the heart and lungs to move together instead of pulling against each other. Over time, that cooperation reduces strain and helps keep blood pressure from staying elevated.
That's fascinating because it sounds less like control and more like coordination. It also helps explain why seniors often feel steadier, not just calmer, after practicing it.
Yes, and that steadiness has a name. It is called heart rate variability, and in seniors, it often declines when stress becomes chronic. Box breathing restores that flexibility, allowing the heart to adapt instead of staying rigid. When the heart becomes more flexible, blood vessels respond with the same ease.
That flexibility feels like something many seniors quietly miss without realizing it.
Exactly. When the breath sets a predictable tempo, the lungs signal safety and the heart listens. Over time, the nervous system stops overreacting to small stressors because it trusts the rhythm it has learned. That trust lowers baseline tension, which directly supports healthier blood pressure.
That sense of trust keeps coming up in our conversation, and it feels central.
It is central, and here is the part that often surprises seniors. This rhythm does not just calm the body in the moment. It begins to retrain the system to prefer balance, even when life brings noise or uncertainty.
That makes me think beyond the exercise itself. So what breathing technique comes next, and what's happening inside the body that allows it to become automatic over time?
The third and final technique is what we call resonance breathing. When seniors breathe at a steady, gentle rhythm for a few minutes each day, the nervous system begins to memorize that pace. Over time, the brain starts favoring it even outside of practice, especially during rest. This is how calm moves from something you do into something you become.
That feels deeply reassuring. It suggests seniors are not managing their bodies forever, but teaching them a new normal.
Yes, and this is where science meets experience. Resonance breathing, often around a slow and even pace, strengthens the body's internal pressure sensors that help regulate blood pressure. When those sensors become more responsive, the body adjusts naturally without conscious effort. Seniors often notice they are breathing more slowly without trying.
That quiet shift feels like a turning point.
This leads us forward. When the body finds its resonant rhythm, it begins to protect itself more efficiently. Blood pressure stops swinging as sharply because the system has learned a steadier baseline. This is not about control, but about alignment.
That idea of alignment really stays with me.
There is something else that makes this especially powerful for seniors. Once the body recognizes this rhythm, it starts returning to it automatically during moments of rest, even during sleep. That is when the deepest repair happens.
That makes me think about consistency in a new way. How do seniors gently train their bodies to adopt this rhythm without turning it into another obligation or source of pressure?
Remove the idea of discipline, John. Seniors do not need to force the breath into shape. They only need to give the body small, consistent invitations to return to calm. When breathing is paired with moments that already exist, like waking up or settling into bed, the body learns without feeling pushed.
That really shifts the tone from effort to kindness. I hear from so many seniors who worry they are failing when routines feel hard to keep.
Yes, and I hear that a lot in seniors. The nervous system learns best when it feels safe, not judged. Even 2 or 3 minutes of gentle breathing, done with curiosity instead of expectation, teaches the body that calm is available. Over time, the body begins choosing that rhythm on its own.
That makes consistency feel less like a task and more like a relationship.
Exactly. And here is something important to remember. Once the body starts breathing this way naturally, small details begin to matter more. How seniors sit, how they prepare, and how they reduce distractions can either support or interrupt that calm.
That's interesting. What kinds of small details tend to make the biggest difference in whether these techniques actually help seniors feel safer and steadier day to day?
Because the body responds to safety before it responds to technique. So start by keeping the body comfortable and unguarded. Seniors often breathe better when they are seated with support, feet grounded, and shoulders allowed to soften instead of being held up by tension. Small signals like unclenching the jaw or letting the tongue rest can quietly tell the nervous system that it is safe to relax. Those details seem minor, but the body listens closely.
That rings true. I see seniors try to breathe deeply while still holding their bodies stiff, almost bracing for something.
Yes, and that reminds me how easily effort sneaks in. Breathing works best when distractions are lowered, not eliminated, just softened. Bright screens, caffeine close by, or rushing from one task to another can keep the nervous system alert even while breathing slowly. Creating a brief pause before starting makes the breath far more effective.
That pause feels like an overlooked step that could change everything.
Exactly. And here is something many seniors do not expect. When breathing feels ineffective, it is often not the technique, but the context. Once the body feels supported and unrushed, even simple breathing becomes powerful again.
That makes me curious. How do seniors gently turn all of this into a simple daily rhythm that fits real life without feeling overwhelming?
Keep it very small and very familiar. Seniors do best when breathing is tied to moments that already exist, like the first quiet minute after waking or the pause before turning off the light at night. Those moments carry less resistance, so the body accepts the practice without feeling interrupted. Over time, the rhythm settles in naturally because it arrives gently, not as another task.
That feels respectful of real life. Seniors are already managing so much, and this sounds like it works with their day instead of adding to it.
Yes, and that is intentional. A simple routine might begin with one calming breath in the morning to set the tone, and another in the evening to release what the day carried. Seniors do not need perfection or long sessions. They need repetition that feels kind. When the body associates breathing with relief instead of effort, it keeps coming back on its own.
That framing makes consistency feel possible, even comforting.
Exactly. And here is something important to hold on to. Once breathing becomes part of daily rhythm, it often opens the door to something deeper. Seniors begin noticing changes beyond blood pressure, like sleep, focus, and emotional steadiness.
That makes me pause in a good way. How do you help seniors reflect on those changes and carry that sense of calm forward, especially when life still brings uncertainty?
I remind seniors to notice the smallest changes and honor them. When calm appears, even briefly, it becomes a reference point they can return to during uncertainty, like a quiet place the body remembers. That memory is often stronger than fear.
That's a beautiful way to think about it. If this conversation brought you even a moment of steadiness, comment a 1 and share this episode with another senior who might need it just as much. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and come back tomorrow for our new episode. Oh, and watch this next video right now.
Yes, please.
We've picked this one especially for you.